The bids are in. The gavel is dropped, ladies and gentlemen. Here at WineBid, we are finally hammered. That's right. This is WineBid's podcast, taking at all things wine value, and auctions, wine retail, and just wine. My name is Jeff McGurn. I'm on the WineBid marketing team. With me, as always, is our wine expert, Paul, the luminary of Lambrusco Walker. Welcome to the podcast, Paul. It's
okay. I like
so
that.
Lovely to have you here.
I was going to say lunatic of Lambrusco. That would be.
You're that too. It depends on where in Italy you are that you hear that about Paul. But first of all, let me just say it's a nice warm summer across the U.S. And last night was Sunday, July 14th, and at 7 p.m. we had
Bastille Day. I hope you drank something good from France last night in honor of Bastille Day.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I did actually. I did. I had some off dry Chenin Blanc from 1996.
Yeah.
And it was delightful. It was absolutely delightful. I should have left over that I might finish up tonight. So yeah, and obviously yesterday was Bastille Day, but there was a lot that went on in the auction, and
that's busy auction.
It was a very, very busy auction, and that's what I want to get to. So I want to start off with Paul and I played this little game about biggest movers here. Paul, where was our biggest mover? Care to guess?
I want to say Jura, but I don't know if that's correct. I know we're going to talk about those wines, but anyway, was it Chablis?
It was a Chablis.
Was it the Dumour?
Yes, it was the Dumour.
I cheated, so I looked at like number of bids last night, and I can't believe that tripled in price.
225% increase, went from $40 to $130.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Number two, this one I thought was really, really interesting.
We should just clarify. This was a 2012 Alice Lovier Dumour Chablis Bel Air et Clardy. So it did have some time on it. The Dumour Chablis wines they have quite a following. Whenever they hit the auction, they tend to get bid up a little bit. There was another one. There was a 2010, I should say, Coteau de Rosette as well, which started at 60 and hammered at 130. But anyway, these had to have been records as far as number of bids, per bottle for that particular wine.
Yeah, so, five bids.
More than five, but I mean, yeah, it looks like five bidders probably.
So, and by the way, as recently as 2019, these bottles were selling for $50, $60. Right. So, I mean, this has been quite an increase in price. Number two, it's actually outside of France.
Okay.
Not even in the U.S.
Not in the U.S., not in France. Was it
Germany?
Okay.
Germany. It is the 1994 Balthasar Arrest Johannesburg Klaus Riesling Spätlese.
94 Balthasar.
Yeah. 44 bids took it from $20 to $52 for 160% increase.
Well, yeah, $20 would be quite a steal for something.
30-year-old Spätlese for
Spätlese. I mean, that's probably like really, really drinking well now. I mean, I don't know the producer, but
for sure. And the bottle's in beautiful condition too. Like it looks really good. So I wasn't surprised. Number three was an Italian wine. 128.57% increase for this 2007 Tenuta San Leonardo Venetti della Dolomiti San Leonardo.
Okay. Yeah, it's the San Leonardo Rosso.
Two bids took it from 70 to 160. So,
what biddage was that?
That was the 07.
Okay, interesting. 70 to 160. Wow.
Yes. And then number four, we're heading back to France. This time in the Rhone, 122.5% increase on this 2012 Dardenne Rebo Creuse Hermitage.
Really?
$40 to $89. Yeah.
Yeah, those wines, we've seen younger vintages of this. I think they're fairly reasonable. They're like in the 40 range.
Yeah.
I think the 19 was in not too long ago, hammered at 45. And in fact, yeah, the 17, well, no, hadn't sold in a while. Anyway, that's pretty interesting because, it's not that old, but, 2012 doesn't seem that old for Crozes Hermitage anyway, but that's pretty impressive.
Certainly not that old to have that big of a jump, right?
Yeah, because we see this stuff in pretty often. Like that German wine, I don't think I've ever seen before in my life, but like Darden Rebo Crozes Hermitage is relatively, it frequents the auction, relatively often. So
yes. It's not crazy. It would be like, whoa, there's Darden Rebo Crozes. Like, of course.
Yeah, it was like 2000. If it was, 20, 25 years old, that's one thing, but 2012 doesn't seem that old to me, but that's a lot of action on.
Number 5, we're going to head back to Deutschland. 07 Kuller, Ruprecht, Hallstatter, Saumangen, Riesling Spätlese, Trocken, RR, number 57. 3 bids took from 65 to 141 for one whopping 116.92% increase.
Wow.
Number 6.
Yeah, another producer I've never heard of.
Another producer you've never heard of.
I don't know what the RR it refers to either. That's very interesting. No. Dry Spätlese though. Wow. That's
cool. Is that what that? Maybe that dry Spätlese?
Well, yeah, because it's a Trocken Spätlese, so it's designated as being dry, but RR, I have no idea.
Number 6 is another Damour.
Oh, the other, was it the 2010?
2010.
Yeah.
60 to 130. Number 7 was actually this 2020 Ailey Ore Coteau Champenois Ambonnet Rouge Cuvee.
No, wait.
This is one
that rolled. Yeah, but didn't that roll for a couple weeks? I swear that was in last week. Okay, maybe I thought it was in the prior week.
No, it came in last week.
You're right. It came in last week. Yeah.
I picked this out, right?
Okay. I do remember you picking this like still wine from Ailey Ore because it's pretty rare.
Yeah. Well, it's rare enough to go from 145 to 305.
That's a big jump. That's like, it's interesting because they make such a full range of wines, and full price range too, from like under $100 to like well over 500. So somewhere right in the middle. That's pretty wild.
It's crazy, right? 110% increase.
I've never actually had the dry or the still reds from Ailey Ore. I've only ever had sparkling wine from them, but I bet it's quite good.
Number 8 was I'll give you the varietal. I want to see if you can figure out where the variety. I'll see if you can figure out where it's from. Roussanne. Yes.
I would guess right off the bat the Rhone, but I wouldn't know for sure if it was 100% variety. So I'll say California.
California it is.
Ah, cool.
And see, that's the thing. Roussanne in France, stagnant. Roussanne in California, to the moon, like a rocket. It's exploding. 110% increase in price. This 2011 Coupe Bien Nacido Hillside Estate Vineyard Roussanne.
That's amazing.
3 bids took it from 20 to 42. Now, if you had purchased 10,000 cases of this Roussanne, Roussanne, you would have doubled your money.
Oh boy. Every week we have Jeff's investment expertise, like retrospective wine buying advice, which is helpful to no one. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to make you also suggest a new wine in the auction each week that you think everybody should buy to double their money in 10 years. That's what you have to do. If you want to name these ridiculous historical, examples, you have to name a new one. That's the deal.
That's not how my powers work.
Apparently not.
Yeah, that's not how it works. It's always in arrears.
The 07 Roussanne doubled in price as well, and that's pretty fascinating. Because Cuvee makes great Syrah. I don't think I've had too many of the white wines, at least not recently, but the red wines are fantastic. There was a bottle, did you see there was a 3-liter of Cuvée Sawyer Lindquist Vineyard Sawney Syrah that hammered at $78. So,
And
dollar per dollar, the Syrah's a much better deal. You can get it.
yeah, then the Roussan. I mean, like
Roussan would have been $120. Would have been like $40 more.
I mean, it's just not often you see expensive Roussan.
No, I mean, unless it's like Scenic One Own or something, or whatever, some cool experience.
Yeah, like Screaming Eagle makes their once in a lifetime bottle of Roussan from like 10 square feet that they planted. The Taylor's Clare Valley Cabernet Sauvignon.
Taylor's Clare Valley.
What
vintage?
I believe this is the 2013. I believe this is Australian, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Clare Valley is in Australia, but I don't know that wine at all, so I'm curious. Taylor's Clare Valley, huh?
This one I thought was number 10 was probably the most interesting to me, which was the 2020 00 wines. Claude de la Roche went from 270 to 550 for 100.
Right, I did see that. I was curious actually if that other bottle of Corton Charlemagne sold. So I know there was another one in last week, but that's amazing. I mean, the Claude de la Roche looked cheap next to the Corton Charlemagne.
For sure. But like one of the things that really struck me this week is there was a lot of movement on pricing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there were, let's say, 40 bottles, 40 lots that had at least a 50% increase in price.
That's wild.
That's quite a bit. And, just to remind everyone, we price stuff where our data says it's going to sell. So, a lot of stuff just gets the one bid and that's it, because that's how our algorithm prices things, right? We're not underpricing stuff to get action. No, we price it where we think it's going to sell. And by the way, the Roussan, there were additional bottles of Roussan that went up in price as well. So those were jumping up.
Let me bring up some records.
Yeah, I was going to say, give us some.
Well, we had a lot of fun looking at the Auvergnois last week versus the Ganavat, right?
And who was the winner? The Mag didn't win, right?
The Mag didn't even sell. So I was like, wait a minute, the Mag's going to get bid up, but no, it was the father's vines. It was the Vignemont Pere, which I believe is like one of the most sought after wines that Ganavat makes. I don't know this for sure. Not an expert, even though Jeff likes to say that every time. But anyway,
very modest.
08 Ganavat Côte de Jura Les Vignes de Mon Père Blanc, hammered at 620. We thought maybe there were a couple bottles of Auvergnois last week. There's 14 Chardonnay and then 16 Chardonnay Sauvignon blend. And the Chardonnay was the white capsule, but the Chardonnay hammered for 510 and the 16 Chardonnay Sauvignon hammered for 550. So Ganavat edged both those out at 620. I honestly thought the Auvergnois wines were probably going to go higher, or that Mag was going to go bonkers. But anyway, there's still a Mag for sale if anyone's interested, of Chardonnay, I believe. And yeah, so a lot of really fun stuff in last week. 2020 Harlan hammered at $1,200, which is quite impressive. That's a challenging vintage. The Mag was also in last week, hammered for $2,200, so it was a little bit better deal. There's limited production on 2020s. A lot of places didn't make red wine, but those that did presumably did a fantastic job. And I actually have had this wine. It's quite good. The Harlan's tasty. And anyway, that was fun to see. There was a bunch of Romanee we were talking in all price points last week, but the 16 Batard, Romanee Batard Montrachet hammered for $725. I think most recent external hammer was a little over $600 earlier this year. This Penfolds G3 hammered for $3,401, which is kind of an interesting number. But that's got to be a record high hammer for any Penfolds wine I think we've ever sold. So that was quite exciting.
Sorry, you're talking about the G3?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 3 bids taking it to
$3,401.
$3,401.
Yeah, it's wild. 2010 Petrus hammered at $4,015. Looks like, again, kind of compared to whatever external records we could find, higher than a recent hammer at $3,600. Let's see. 2021 Scarecrow Mag. That actually was one of my picks because you don't see too many magnums of it.
5 bids.
Yeah, 1720. That was pretty impressive too. Sadie family Columella. I keep an eye on these Sadie family wines because they're very expensive. Probably, I would say one of the most expensive wines from South Africa that we see regularly. Yeah. They're in quite often. And I always kind of, poke around and notice there's a little bit differentiation in price, but usually they're all around, under $100. But the Columella hammered for 105, the 2016, I should say. Let's see. Yeah, Ornellaia Bianco, which we don't see very often. The 19 hammered at 260. 13 Cirque Bootleggers Hill Pinot Noir hammered at 140. This is I believe, Dan Costa's project after, the winery that Costa Brown winery was sold. But anyway, those have been, to me, they've been actually pretty inexpensive because I know they're very expensive on the mailing list, but prices are now creeping up quite a bit. So very interesting to see that go for 140, considering they were consistently hammering somewhere between like 60 and $70, not too long ago. I think the last hammer was $80 or something.
Did you see the 1795 Barbietto Tarantes Madeira sold?
No, and that had been in auction for a while, right?
Yeah, sold for $65. Have you ever tried this bottle before?
No, I haven't had too much 18th century Madeira. I've had some, but
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
No, it's true. I have had an 18th century Madeira, but not this particular wine. Oh, it's definitely the oldest wine I ever had for sure. But
it's crazy. And then there was a 1910 Madeira that sold as well, Candida.
The Doliveris.
Yeah, for 780. That actually had some bids on it. I had 2 bids taken to 780. I also wanted to note that Mag of the 2013 Giuseppe Quintarelli Amarone della Valpolicella Classico sold for 610 after a couple bids.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot. That's a lot. And then there was this 2016 Commando G Rumbo Almonte Garnacha that sold for 705.
Yeah, that's and these wines have been consistently in the auction. Again, all different designations and labels that I'm not very familiar with, and all different price ranges as well. But it's a big number for sure.
I will tell you the other thing that was a little bit was really interesting to me was that there seemed to be a little adjustment on the 82 Pichon Milan that had 2 bids taking from 575 to 625. And looking at the history, it's really hung out under 600 since 2023, right? It got up to 740 in the middle of 2023. I would say 2022 actually got up to 915.
Serious?
Yeah, and it's been on the way down. And I just thought it was interesting because it had come down to 560, right?
It's been kind of consistent in the last few months. I mean, we've seen it pretty often. There were like a couple of gaps in the beginning of the year, between December and March, but then looks like we saw multiple bottles in May and then most recently in June. But I wonder if it's creeping back up.
That was exactly my sentiment. And what'll be really interesting is to see what happens this week, because we're going to do the picks right after this. There are a ton of 82s.
Yeah.
There are a ton of 82s in auction. And I'm wondering if this is some sort of bellwether for what's going to go on with 82s more broadly, or if this is an anomaly. Don't know. But we're going to find out. With that said, should we delve into?
Yeah, no, I did want to mention one more hammer because these are always kind of interesting to me. There's a couple examples actually in the current week. The 1995 William Selliam Hirsch Pinot hammered at 230. This is interesting because it's a couple of years before the sale, before the partners at Williams and Selliam sold the winery to John Dyson, and the prices kind of dropped, quite a bit once that happened, at least in the secondary market. But it's always interesting to see those earlier examples get bid up because they're quite rare too.
Absolutely. Let's delve into what's coming into auction. So I'm going to preface this by saying this is the auction that is ending July 21st at 7 p.m. Pacific time. 2024, anything that you hear us talk about, you can go bid on through July 21st, 7 p.m. Pacific time when the auction closes. Okay. I think last week, what did we start off with last week? I think we started off with U.S. wine. Should we start off with Burgundy this week?
Yeah, sure. That sounds good.
Let's do it. There is just an embarrassment of Domaine Romanee-Conti coming into auction this week.
Yeah, it's quite a selection. There is
48 lots of DRC coming into auction this week. Wow. It's just very rare you see that much DRC. And I always like to point out to folks that like we're not like those other big luxury auction houses which pulled back a bunch of stuff and curate a large collection before they go live. Like we're rolling auction. We put stuff in auction, whenever it gets to us and it's been inspected. Like that's just how it is, right? We're not hoarding DRC and then releasing it all.
We don't do seasonal events. It's constantly ongoing.
There's no seasonal event, but if you're interested in DRC, like this is a fantastic week. I thought also interesting was this 83 Hospices de Beaune, Mazis-Chambertin, Cuvee, Madeleine, Coron for 145. I thought that looked like it might be interesting.
Oh, you mean from Coron? Coron is the producer. Yeah, not Coron.
And then
1990.
For $1,300, you can grab a 1990 Drouhin Musigny.
Two Drouhin offerings were really, really cool. The Marquis Laguiche and then the Musigny from 1990 is really that's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. 18 Faiveley, Nuits-St Les Damodes. Already has a bid on it, taking it from 65 to 66. 2020 Bernard Dugat-Py, Gevrey-Chambertin, Coeur. We have two of those at 150 a piece. I didn't think that was too crazy. 2020, great year. 2020, speaking of 2020, the Mongier de Muneray Echezeaux for 200. Another one that I didn't think was too crazy for Echezeaux. 17 Georges Muneray Gibourg, Chambois Musigny, Les Fuselots for 360. The 2000 Vincent Dovessal Chablis La Forest for 175, and then you can get the 2000 Leclos for 305. And I thought those both looked like they were in decent condition. 19 Bruno Clavier Gevrey-Chambertin Les Corbeaux Villevin for $95. Not too shabby for some VV. 17 Lucien Lemoyne, Chambertin Claude Bez for 300. We've got three of those.
That one stood out to me as well. It's very don't see that very often at all.
No. And 300 actually didn't strike me as being terribly crazy for that. And then the 19 Bernard Bonin Bourgogne Blanc, initials BB, already has some action on it, taking it from 170 to 180. We also have the 2020 230 and the 21 at 175.
Yeah, there's a bunch of great stuff in this week for sure. Obviously, like laundry list of Romanee-Conti, but some great wines. Like you mentioned, from Muneray. There's also Richot-Chambertin and Echezeaux. There's Bernard Baudin Meursault as well, which obviously is, hundreds of dollars more than the Bourgogne Blanc, but all different ranges for different buyers. There's some Collignon Bel Air Beaune Romanée. I think this wine might have been in fairly recently and got bid way, way, way up. So the Colombier Beaune Romanée is $1,400 for the 2017. And then there's the sort of straight, if you will, 2017 Beaune Romanée at $650. So some real star stuff in. There's Bizot Beaune Romanée de Jachet as well, 2005 for $1,700. Some great Vogüé. There's 1970 Musigny, which don't see very often. There's also 1990 as well. And there's a 3-pack of the 2021 Vogüé Musigny. Yeah, there's a lot of 2020s in as well. You mentioned a few. There's some Dugat-Py. There's some young Arlot wines, including a couple vintages of Romanee-Saint Vivant, which don't see every day, the 18 in 2021. And then there's also Souchot from 2021 from Arlot. And then Dujac Malconsor 2021 as well. Some slightly older Leflaive, 2010 Batard, and 2000 vintage Chevalier. There's a bottle of, I thought for more on the more reasonable end these days, the Marius Delarche Corton Renard Reserve Old Vines 05 for $60. I didn't think it was a bad deal for Grand Cru Corton. I mean, most all the Corton Red is Grand Cru, but anyway, the Delarche is, respected producer and not, I don't know, it's not expensive. So, and it's from a great vintage. So anyway, that one caught my eye as something that's quite reasonable. Let's see, 15 Mayo Camazé Clos Vougeot. There's 19 Michel Gros Romanee Clos Reyes. Yeah, you mentioned I looked at that 2000 Dovisat Les Clos. It's just like amazing color. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So it's like just cease to age. It's been in a great cellar. Oh yeah, and there's also like a really kind of, for me, kind of personally interesting bottle. There's a 1969 Lucien Jaillet von Romanée Malconsort Magnum. I had this wine years and years and years ago. It's actually probably the best bottle of red Burgundy I've ever tasted in my life, and I was blown away to see a Magnum pop up this week. But it was truly like life-changing, just unbelievably delicious, ethereal wine. So anyway, that popped in the auction this week. So it was very, very, very cool to see. 17, Le Moine, you mentioned the Clos de Bez, 3 of those, $300. I didn't think it was terrible. Oh yeah, there's some Olivier Bernstein wines, which never seem to be in very often. I think the production of these is very, very small, but 13 Clos de la Roche, 3 of them, 195, and then 13 Mazis Chambertin at 300. So those were really the ones that stuck out for me. There's also a nice little collection of Rousseau, some slightly older wines, 96 Clos de la Roche, and then younger stuff too. Some Clos Saint-Jacques, multiple vintages. So yeah, just some real Burgundy stars this week for sure.
Real Burgundies. Well, there's some stars all over the place. Let's go.
That's true. Yeah.
Let's go to Bordeaux because.
Okay.
Oh
yeah,
my
Bordeaux's
God.
chock full of like vintage greatness. That's true.
Like I just right off the bat, there's like 32 lots of crazy like Mouton from the 70s on, right?
Yeah.
Or 70s, 80s, 90s, like just really, really cool Mouton.
And multiple collections too. They're not, there's multiple sellers, involved here. It's not just like one giant collection. It's like quite a few.
Yes, I saw this. One thing that caught my eye was this 1970 Les Forts de la Tour.
Yeah,
$100. We have 4 of those.
It's interesting. I've never tasted that. Like I always rave about the 70 La Tour. That's one of my favorite Bordeaux, just straight up all time. But the 70 Le Fort, I'm curious as to how that's drinking now, as the second label, but I'll bet it's quite good.
I'm sure it's amazing. And
tons of great Sauternes in this week again,
well, there's just an embarrassment of decant.
Tons of it.
I what is it? 29 lots of decant. 29 lots. So just
it's like pick a great vintage the last 50 years. You'll find something.
You'll find something in decant. So there's just so much.
60 years for that matter. It's 67's in, but 70, 83, 88.
Yes. Did you see all the Petrus that are in?
Yeah. Right.
70. I mean, it was like there's how many levels? 18 lots of Petrus, 64, 70, 71, 83, 84. I mean, just 99. Crazy amount of Petrus in this week. Leoville Las Casas, another one where we just have a bunch of Leoville Las Casas, and somebody just decided.
I still think for the money, the 1990 is a steal. It's like $285, and that wine, it's been a few years, but it's just phenomenally good, and it's cheaper. And it's not much cheaper than the 82, but I think honestly, it's drinking better than the 82.
275. The one with 285 has a bid.
Oh, yeah. So a couple lots then. I just picked one at random. So
you picked one at random, and you picked wrong, chose poorly.
Well, it might be different condition. I don't know. There's
I think it is different condition. 82 Lamasson-Aubryon for 690, 82 Montrose for 240. We have 3 of those. These are all ones that I want to sort of keep an eye on after seeing the Pichon Lalande.
Yeah.
98 de Croupe for 130 didn't strike me as crazy, nor did a 67 Pape Clement for 130. I don't know if you saw that one, but that's one of those ones where it's like,
no, I must have skipped over. I didn't see that.
It's 130 for a 67 Pape Clement, not bad. 2000 Sarget de Grade-la-Rose.
Yeah, that one's very good. I love that second label of Grade-la-Rose. It's excellent wine.
This one I thought was cool. A 79 Riesec Clos La Beret for 55. That's their second label. For Riesec, it's very rare, actually.
Is it dry, or is it just it's a sweet wine, but it's just a second label from the?
I do believe it is a second label sweet wine.
Oh, okay.
But it's one of those ones you just, I don't know, like how often do you see La Beret, Clos La Beret?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean,
rarely.
I was going to look it up because I don't even know what that label looks like. So
it looks like the Riesec label, but it's got but it says Clos La Beret up at the top. It's La Beret. 98 La Fleur Petrus for 290. We have 2 of those. That was interesting. 16 Figeac for 205. We've got 4 of those. Lots of old Bechevel. Like 75, 79, 83. I would go 86. I would go take a look. There's a ton of old Bechevel. There is some really cool Lafleur in auction. 6 bottles of Lafleur, 2 of them OWC, 04, 11, 12, 18, 20, 21. Don't see that much Lafleur come in very often. I thought the 99 Ausone was cool for 370. That was interesting. 86 Clerc Milan for 140. 82 Gloria for 100. There are 4 of them. 82 Brain Cantenac for 140. There are 17. 89 La Forêt Perigueux for $60. 15 Malartic La Gravière for $55. La Gravière. 2000 Quinal Les Enclos for $50. 1950 Gillette Deux for $300.
Yeah, I saw this too, and it's another one I was a little confused about. Like, what is Gillette Deux versus Gillette? I mean, they're both sweet, but that's why I was wondering why. Maybe it's just because it's an ancient vintage or something that was used to be labeled as sweet on it, so people would know. But
entirely possible. Curious. But $300 for something that's got 74 years of age on it, I think is
and it's cool. Wow, the color looks amazing. It looks
great.
It just looks great. Like you just want to drink all of it. It looks so delicious.
That's going to be, I'll bet you that's phenomenal. I only have 2 more. 1990 Chateau d'Arche. We have 2 of those, and a couple bids have taken them from 30 to 32. And then this 1962 Clos des Jacobins for $70.
1990, that Chateau d'Arche, that's a steal because that's 90 is an amazing Sauternes vintage. And again, this bottle looks like it's immaculate, fills into the neck. You want something, reasonable. It's very mature from a phenomenal vintage and respectable, producer. That's a great pick right there.
Great fill level, great color, beautiful label.
It's awesome. I mean, it's getting some action on Monday, which means it's going
to go. Well, it was $30.
Right.
I mean, it's $30. That thing is,
that's absurd.
34 years of age, $30. Come on. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it should be great. You mentioned a lot of the stars. I will say there's 70 Angelus, which I remember having a few years ago. It was very, very memorable wine. Not, the world's greatest Bordeaux vintage across the board, but there were some standouts, and that's definitely one of them. Yeah, just amazing array of Sauternes, 83 Clément, 89 Doisy Vidrine, I think you mentioned a lot of the other ones, La Tour Blanche from 89, and all of them are pretty much, I think, across the board, except for Duquesne, are like under $100. And so they're from great vintages and great selections. 83 Riesec half bottles, 83 Sudero. So those 83s are just, it's such a great year and drinking fantastically right now. So that'd be a great, actually, yeah. I mean, anyone that's born in 83, I would grab those because it's probably going to go up. There's another couple of Duclos collections again this week. I was trying to remember the breakdown, but I looked it up, and you get basically the first gross plus Cheval Blanc, Petrus, Dechem, La Mission, and I believe that rounds out to 9 bottles. Yeah, I think that's it. So anyway, there's a 2008 and there's a 2010. For some reason, they're not worded the same way. One is Duclos Cask Collection. The other one is Cask Collection Duclos. So I think we need to fix that in the database. Anyway, I'll make a note to do that. But yeah, just a amazing selection of vintage stuff for sure. A bunch of Lafite looks amazing as well. Lynch-Bage Magnum 88, which I think is a steal at $390. That's phenomenal wine. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with 82s that you mentioned as well. Just incredible array of stuff. So
incredible array of stuff. Let's head over to Alsace. We only have a few things coming in from Alsace. We've got some Boxler, 19 Edelzwicker Reserve has a bid on taking it to 21. 17 Pinot Gris Somberg for 40. 17 Riesling.
Yeah, that's a good deal. The Sommerberg for $40, 3 of them.
Phenomenal deal. 3 of those, $40 a piece. I'll bet you that's absolutely stunning right now. They've got some Tokayi of Pinot Gris for $25 from 2017. I thought that was kind of interesting. Or Tokay. And then we've got a couple bottles of Ostertag Sylvaner Villevin for $25. That, so if you like yourself some little Alsatian Sylvaner, it's a nice little deal there. Let's run over to Champagne. Yeah,
lots of nice stuff.
Oh my God, boy! First of all, we've got a '66 Dom Perignon.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, how many times has that been in? Not many.
Not many. It's $5.85. Such a cool bottle. Looks like it's in pretty good condition. And then, again, just not something we see every single day. Sometimes we go years without seeing a 66 Dom. We also have 75 for 500, 78 for 45, 83 for 490, 85 for 465. A lot of cool Dom. I thought the 95 Krug for 505 was pretty cool. That should be interesting. And then, oh my gosh, Cristal, 16, lots of Cristal, 82, 85, 88, 90, Mag of the 90, 93, Mag of the 93, 06, 08, 14, 15, and then some rosé, 88 rosé, 89 rosé, 04 rosé, 05 rosé. So just like, if you like Cristal, this is
it's a really nice lineup of Cristal this week for sure.
Beautiful lineup of Cristal. We've got 82 Salon Blanc de Blanc for $14.80. We've got a 90. A 3 liter of 1990 Bollinger Grand Année already has a bid on it. Well, we have 2 of them actually.
There's 2 of them.
I was like 2 9 liters of Grand Année.
Or 3 liters.
Sorry, 3 liters. 2 3 liters. 1 more and it's 9 liters. 2 3 liters. But I mean, God, what a cool bottle that is. And then just the 64 Bollinger RD.
Yeah, those really stuck out to me. 64 and 82 RD. Again, serious rarity there. So serious
rarity. What else did I miss?
No, I mean that's I just picked out some of those Dom Perignons since there was 75 and 78 as well, and the Tanger Comte de Champagne at 81, a couple of those, and 83 as well. Yeah, just a great batch of champagne this week. So.
Provence, the only things I picked out in Provence, we have a couple of mags of Tempier Rosé, which is Tempier Rosé is delicious. It's so good. Yeah. The 2020, we have a mag. Both of them have bids on them, by the way. Mag of the 2020, 2021. They're both at $91 now.
Yeah, I feel like that's cheaper than retail.
Oh, for sure.
It's pretty expensive these days. So
for sure. This in Savoie, this 2000. The only thing I picked out there was this 2011 Domaine Ballard Grenier Vin de Savoie Les Alpes.
Yeah, so Bellard unfortunately passed away, I believe, just a year or two ago. It's been maybe it's a little longer than that. But these wines have become, I mean, they've always had a following, but now the price has gone up, unfortunately. But that's a rare one.
Yeah. Already has a bid on it, taking from 125 to 135.
I'm not surprised.
Southwest France, there's some Tiracool La Gravière.
Oh yeah, and the Cuvee Madame is in this week, which is
Cuvee Madame is in this week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fun stuff for sure.
From 1995, and then there's some Clos La Coutale Cahors in as well.
Clos La Coutale, yeah.
Some interesting stuff from Southwest France. The Loire.
I'm surprised you didn't mention the Bagnols. Because there's some good deals in Bagnols. I couldn't.
What Bagnols? What Bagnols?
I couldn't help but find. Look, did you see the 78 was only $47?
Next.
Well, you miss it. You miss it. It's got active bidding, so you're out of the loop on that one.
Oh, am I?
You can't bid against our customers, Jeff. I'll report you. Anyway, don't miss those Bagnols. There's a bunch of Bagnols from Domaine Blanc, who's well respected.
There's like two.
79.
So then there's Loire, right? We've got some 17 Guiberteau Blanc.
Yeah, a bunch of Guiberteau wines.
Yeah,
and those will probably go. The prices are kind of all over the map, actually, which is a little interesting to me because I don't know. It seems like some of them get bid up and some of them don't, but obviously it doesn't have anything to do with scores. It's just, I think, strength of the vintage and, rarity. So
there is some Domaine des Bamards, Coteau de Leon, Clos Sainte Catherine for 55. Some 1955 Bourgogne d'Orléans Vouvray.
Very cool. Sweet Vouvray.
Yeah.
Bourgogne d'Orléans. Yeah.
I thought that
I've never seen this wine before. That's a rarity.
I mean, if this is a perfect wine for that good friend of yours who's turning 70 next year.
I'm sure it's delicious too. Those late harvest wines are very, very good.
Beautiful. 1989, Benoit, Gauthier, Vouvray, Clos, Chateau, Chevrier, Vendage, Manuel. $35. And then this 89 Domaine Guindon Coteau de Ancenis Malvois for $30. So I mean, I'm butchering those names, but they're 1989s and they're like $35.
Yeah, 89 Guindon Coteau d'Ancenis Malvoisie. So it's Malvasia, maybe the variety. Really, that's really interesting.
Super interesting for $30. I mean,
I would have assumed it was like, I guess Coteau d'Ancenis is the region, but it says Pinot Gris on the wine type. So interesting. That's wow. That's cool.
That one would be super, super fun to crack open.
Well, hold on. There's also Piton. There's 97 Piton Côte-Léon Lambert Bonne Blanche 500 ml, and then there's some Jolie also, some Jolie Coulée de Coron 2020. So awesome
stuff. Let's finish up France with some picks from the Rhone, shall we? 89 Bouquet-Sel. Woo!
Came in again. Bottle's great too. Because some of those things had some weird fermentation stuff going on in the bottles. There's a lot of leakers, but then there's quite a few that are not, and it's a great wine.
This is just a stunning wine. Love this stuff.
Yeah.
There's 2010 Gugal Côte Rôtie La London, so one of the Lalas, in for $3.95. And then this, I also picked up this 14 Chapoutier Côte Rôtie La Mordorée for $80. 1989 Domaine du Pacao Châteauneuf-du-Pape Cuvée Reservé. We have two of those at $90. 11 Rayas Châteauneuf-du-Pape Blanc Reserve. Three of those at $4.30.
White's almost more sought after than the red in certain years, but it's also rarer. So that'll be interesting to see how if that hammers, right at reserve or it gets bid up a little bit. But
got a few people watching it, but I was sort of half expecting it to already have some bids, but nothing just yet.
Someone will jump in on at least one. I know somebody who's going to bid on it. Actually,
you're like
I know they're just waiting. They're like, I'm going to wait till the end of the auction, which I don't think it's a great idea, but
I've tried both. I don't know. Sniping, that hasn't worked out as well for me. 2000 Clos de Pape, 375. So like a half bottle of the Clos de Pape already has two bids on it. Well, there are two of them. There are two bids taking from 30 to 31. So people are going after both. 96 Auguste Clap Cornat. For 215, there are two of those. A lot of people watching that one. 95 Le Vue Donjon Chateauneuf de Pape for 90. 2000 Domaine Gerard Charvin Chateauneuf de Pape for 70. There are two of those. And then this 97 Yves Crouillon Condru Aiguë. It's a 500 milliliter for $35. I thought that was super interesting. 97 Condru. And then the 2016 Michael Borg Cornat Le Petits Bout. Already has a bid on, I think, 55, 56. And then there's this 2020 Jerome Despenes Cornat, which has two bids, taking it from 45 to 58.
Yeah, lots of cool things. I noticed too, you mentioned there's a lot of neat Chateauneufs, some deals. And there's also a little mini vertical of the Graillot Gros-Hermitage Guy Road, which is smaller production and more sought after. I think older vines than the sort of standard appellation Gros-Hermitage. But anyway, 18, 19, and 20 available. 8 bottles actually of the 20, which is pretty cool. Yeah. There's also, you mentioned Coeur. There's also the Les Vins de Vienne, which is a partnership between Coeur, Villard, and Gaillard. So big time producers in Northern Rhone, and they're good. There's like a Condria, they make reds and whites, and anyway, there's Condria 2010 La Chambre, and it looks like it's got a bid on it, $41. But yeah, and did you mention the 90 Chave Hermitage? I don't know if you did or not, but yeah.
I think I did. Maybe I did.
Anyway, yeah, and those it'll be interesting to see those pair of Reyes, what happens there with the red and white. So yeah, nice selection for sure.
Nice selection of Rhone wines. Let's jump into the United States, shall we? So we head over across the pond.
Yeah, let's move through it if we can relatively efficiently.
We'll move fast. We'll move efficiently. There's a bunch of cool Opus One, old Opus One. Go check that out. 96 Phelps Cab for $75. I thought that was cool. And 86 Phelps Isley for $275. That was cool. 96 Schaefer Hillside Select Cab, $205. Two of those. 81 Ridge Hell Mountain Claret from the advanced tasting program for $200. I thought that was cool. I don't think I've seen Ridge Claret before, but there's a lot of cool old Ridge. If you like Ridge, there's a ton of cool old Ridge. A bunch of cool Heights Martha's Vineyard coming to auction, 69, 72, 73, 74. It goes on and on and on. Check that out. I thought this 96 Behringer Bancroft Ranch Hell Mountain Merlot was cool. Already has two of them had a bid on them, taking it from 30 to 31.
And it's like super underpriced wine.
Super duper underpriced wine. Yeah. Then you've got there's this Behringer Gamay Beaujolais from 1978. And I thought that was really cool. I would definitely be checking that out. And not to mention this 87 Behringer Private Reserve Cab, which I've had and is stunningly delicious. It's $105. I think that's a steal. An 87, a mag of the 87 Monolena Estate.
Yeah, really, that's beautiful wine. That's a great bottle right there.
Beautiful wine, beautiful wine. There's a bunch of old Stag's Leap coming into auction from the 90s and 2000s. So that's really cool. 74 Chapelet Cab for $800. That's a pretty interesting one. A 3-liter of 82 Diamond Creek Red Rock Terrace for $1,200. We have two of those. And
see, there's before you go on, there's also 74 Chapelet Merlot, I thought, which was quite interesting.
74, yes, 74 Chapelain Merlot.
I'd never seen. I didn't even know they made labeled Merlot back in the 70s. I had no idea. So that's very, very cool.
The more you know. 84 Diamond Creek Red Terrace for 280. 74 of Diamond Creek Volcanic Hill for 800. 82 Diamond Creek Volcanic Hill 3 liter for 900. Just a lot of really cool Diamond Creek, some cool old Georges de la Tour that's coming into auction or coming to auction. Lots of Turley in auction this week. Check out the Turley 94 Staglin Estate for $75. That's less than you get the new release stuff for. There's a ton of new Bedrock coming into auction. Not going to go through it all. 78 Dellinger Sonoma County Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. Dollar Dellinger Cabernet's not so easy to find.
No, I was gonna say like this stuff. Like we don't see this stuff very often, especially old Dellinger. There are 2 of them though, and one of them has a bid. 74 Charles Krug Vintage Selection Cab for 5 of those for 130. Bunch of cool Tablas Creek. I know you hate Tablas Creek. I think they're delicious.
I never said I hate it. I like that stuff. It's great.
Agree to disagree.
I think your fancy club that you go to pours the Blanc. What is it called again? It's like the Esprit de Tal or Esprit de.
Oh yeah. No, it was by the glass. It was quite expensive.
It's like you can buy the white right now. It's $30 a bottle in the auction. It was like $40 a glass or something.
It was 40. I think it was $42 a glass.
Oh my gosh.
There's a 2010 Domaine Chandon Pinot Meunier for $20. I thought that was kind of an interesting find. Like, you don't see a lot of Pinot Meunier bottled still in the US, right? 89 Rotor Hermitage has a bid on it, taken from 70-71. 78 Andrew Quady Lot 1 Vintage Port for $45. I thought that was interesting. And then these 2, I just had to mention them. 2020 Extra Dimensional Wine Co. Yeah. Barbara.
Yeah, this one has a following for sure. It's got
Barbara, Barb Dog. Yeah.
Barb Dog. Yeah. There's a crew. There's somebody, I think it was on Wine Berserkers or something was talking about this, but they definitely have a fan following. I'm sure they're made in, I'm actually not sure, but I believe they're made in sort of minimal, intervention style. So those are interesting. Barbera and whatever Love Language Glowing Red is. I don't know what the varieties are.
Love Language Glowing Red. Well, it's Barbera, Barb Dog. Yeah.
Barb Dog. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
What do you got? What did I miss?
Yeah, no, really nice, sort of across the board classic producers, like all kinds of, examples, like those Heights Marthas. There's multiple bottles in some of the lots, and there's multiple lots of, the same vintage as well. But it's a really nice batch of Marthas for sure. 69, like obviously the famous 74, but there's also 73, 75, other vintages that are actually harder to come by. The 86 too, I thought was interesting because it was 165. I'm like, that's cheap. But that probably was a pretty tannic wine. I don't know if it's, ever softened up or not. But yeah, no, there's some also more modern and also, younger producers. There's a famous Judgment of Paris wine in this week, the 72 Clos de Val Cabernet, hence the, rather expensive $790 reserve. There's some great Carlisle, including a bunch of stuff in that 35 to 40 range. Monte Rosso Vineyard Zins, like with 14 years of age for $35. I think those are just great deals. Same thing with Bedrock. And then there's also a wine from Bedrock. Some of the 100 pointers, the While Away Vineyard Syrahs, there's a bunch of those. So like a full range of Bedrock, labels and pricing to match. There's a 97 Alban Riva for $65, which I'm thinking of bidding on just because I'm really curious as to how that's tasting now, because you do not see, 90s Alban that often. It was pretty, those wines are pretty hard to find these days. Some nice Arajos. There's a wine called Caladan Cabernet Franc, which I'd never heard of. And I believe it's Chris Carpenter is a winemaker. So anyway, it was kind of interesting because I don't think we've seen those very often, if not ever. There's some Collignon from 97, Herb Lamb. There's some Coruscant. There's some Donelon wines, which are quite good and not expensive. Some Kobler family Vineyard Syrah and a Walker Vine Hill. They're both at $26. I thought those were fantastic deals. Mag of Dunhowell 97 looks very nice. There's some Fairchild Chardonnay, which is interesting in that it's in a very unique bottle. It looks like a vase of some kind or some kind of old amphora. It's very cool. Some Fabio Rompe Cabezas, which I don't think they're making anymore. I think it's like a Rhone variety blend, or maybe it's Petit Syrah. I can't remember, but anyway, it's harder to find these days, and it's very, very good. There's some GB Crane El Coco. It's another hard to find. They make Cabernet too. Very good stuff. I think this is like a Zin or Rhone blend. There's some Gargiulo Super Oakville blend, the Aprile, which has Sangiovese from Oakville in it. It's really kind of interesting and excellent and not expensive. Some Halcyon wines, which you don't see. I think they've got bids, the Elevation and the Esquisto. Some old Hartford, which is interesting, like and inexpensive. Some Seascape Pinot Noir from 2010. I'll bet it's delicious. It's $25. Yeah. So just a lot of eclectic, small production things. Some Cayman Grenache, which I've never seen before. 97 Maryvale Profile looked interesting. Wasn't too expensive. Some Outpost Grenache and Petit Syrah and Cabernet. Some really great wines from up on Howell Mountains. 09 Ovid I thought was a steal at 195. There's old Palmyre, the 94, which is just amazing. Yeah, a bunch of old Ridge stuff. Some great old Mondavi, including a 68, which doesn't happen very often. And I still think those wines are totally underpriced at auction now. They'll probably shoot up quite a bit, but there's 68, 74, 78 Napa Valley Cab. And then there's the great 78 Reserve Cab in 3 liter, which is just incredibly good wine. And then also 75 Reserve Pinot Noir, which I thought was cool. Yeah. Older Rocchioli. You mentioned the Schaefer Hillside. There's also 91, which is really, really good. 94 Silverado Reserve, another one we don't see, which is fantastic stuff. Yeah, Sagsley Cask 23 Magnum from 1991. Just banner examples from up and down the valley. So, and then some older Williams Valley wines as well as some Magnums too. So just really great array of stuff. Yeah, 97 also I always love to mention when this is auction because it gets everybody in a fuss, is the Napa Valley Reserve Red. And the older stuff, the 97 is from, I believe this is from the other side of the valley, the sort of Harlan side, if you will, versus the east side. So people like the older ones because they're quite tasty. I actually just had some of this the other day from 03, and it was quite good. So anyway, great lineup of California stuff. Oh yeah, Maibach Pinot Noir too, which doesn't hit the auction very often, as is not nearly as expensive as the Cabernet. So
all right. Now, everything that you've heard us talk about today, up until July 21st, 2024, 7 p.m. Pacific time, you can go bid on all this stuff. This stuff is in auction, and a lot of it won't even get bids. It'll roll over to next week. So don't think just because we mentioned something, it means it's going to go crazy, right? And also,
you never know. There is the finely hammered effect. So
there is a finely hammered effect. One thing to mention, though, as a little gimme to or thank you rather to our listeners, up until July 21st, 7 p.m. Pacific time, you can use the code LUMINARY, LUMINARY, and get $15 off of a $150 order or more. And hopefully that'll help you bring some of that pricing down. It's about a 10% discount. It's not too bad in this day and age. Nothing to shake your finger at. So anyway, with that, this has been Jeff McGurn and Paul Walker wishing you happy bidding and cheers.
Cheers.